We got to figure out which franchise in the state of Minnesota, and I bite my nails at night thinking about this sometimes because I know this is hockey town. I know this is hockey town, and I stay up late, and I'm nervous about this one. But we know I guess we're saying the Vikings are number one. Who is the number two sports franchise in the state of Minnesota?
It's the state of hockey, man. I got to go with the Wild.
Well, obviously you said it, right? I mean, football's king, especially in this town. But, yeah, who's number two? Good question. This is the state of hockey, and the Wild seem to go on a serious run every few years. T-Wolves, kind of the same every few years. They put together a fun, competitive team. But, you know, I look at what the Twins have done consistently the past 2 decades, and I think I got to put them over the top, just give them the edge a little bit, because just based off their success alone, they've won the division or made the playoffs 9 times since 2002, and in turn brought a lot of excitement into the fan base, and that's more than any of the other franchises can say, besides maybe the Lynx, of course. But I'll give it to the Twins.
And they've been here longer than all the other teams too. So
you're right. Yep.
So if you're looking at straight up attendance or TV ratings, I would assume that baseball is probably coming in second in this town. I think people care about the Twins a lot. But if you're looking at like the momentum, like arrow up, arrow down, just baseball as a whole is declining in this country. And I think people have become a little disenchanted too with the postseason failures of this Twins team. I think that the Timberwolves were a blip on the radar for 15 years in this town. But with and starting with the Jimmy Butler acquisition, that injected something fresh into this market. And then a couple of years later, Ant comes along. I think the Timberwolves are going to make a strong case to be number two, because if you look nationally, what's the number two sport nationally? It's basketball. People love the NBA. NHL, Reggie, is interesting because this town supports professional hockey like very few other towns do in the United States. Canada is being an exception. But the St. Paul Arena, it's filled every single game. I mean, they support that team so much better than the Minnesota Timberwolves. So it's hard to knock the Wild too much. But I could see the Timberwolves actually jumping into number two. If the Wild are number three, does that put the Twins at number four? Like, I think there's a legitimate case to make for all three of them being in any of those three spots.
I'm going to go off fan engagement. This is what I look at. You look at, and I hate to do this, but you look at Twitter. Go to Twitter. You can see the engagement. And this is where I kind of take it. At one point, I was going to say Wild. And when I started the season off, I said Wild. And I'm kind of leaning where Sam's going with that. With Ant Edwards in this 7-game play-in and Patrick Beverley, getting up on the table like Kobe, wearing a robe, got an Instagram model, all this stuff Patrick Beverley is doing. Now he's out there with Future and Monaco gambling. This dude is just he's made for TV, and so or must see TV. When you look at the engagement, the Timberwolves now have 1.1 million followers. The Wild have 738,000, I think, give or take, or 788, 68, something like that. The Twins only have 688. So I got to give it to the Timberwolves. I got to go Timberwolves, Wild, and then Twins. Because even though the wins are showing up, the Twins are leading, people still don't really care until the playoffs. Like and it's what have you done for me lately? You look at the playoffs, I think you would say the Timberwolves had a better successful playoff run than the Wild. Even though they lost to the Grizzlies, they made it competitive. And then they also actually won, I guess you want to say, a series with the play-in game. So we're giving them credit for moving on around because they celebrated like they did. And the Wild did not. The Twins still have to play theirs. And the Vikings can be 4-12 or 4-13 now, and fans are still going to love them. So I'm going to go Vikings. Then I'm going to go Timberwolves, Wild, and then Twins based off fan engagement. I'm just going with the numbers. I'm an analytics guy. The numbers are telling me there's more fans right now. And then the Gobert, I think, just took it up another notch. Like you look at people calling the Timberwolves now, because I've seen the commercials now and all the stuff, calling the Timberwolves for season tickets because they're like, wait a minute, we got Gobert now too, Cat and Anthony Edwards with D'Angelo Russell. Like, this is going to be some fun basketball to watch. And I think that's going to be the key now is what is that? Can they turn these wins and this fan engagement and create a product that's sustainable? Because that's the key, is how sustainable is this? We know D'Angelo Russell is going to Kellen Fiala and be out of here, but can they get a guy? And I don't know why I love Tyus Jones, but I love his game. I loved him at Duke. I like what he did for the Grizzlies when you watch him come in. But they need a guy like that. They need a guy of his caliber. Maybe, I mean, we're forgetting about Wendell Moore. Like, it's no longer you need a true point guard. Nobody's pressing NBA players up the court. You just need a guy to bring it up the court and get the offense going. Steph Curry doesn't bring the ball up the court, and he's the point guard per se. So if Wendell Moore Jr. is your fire starter and he brings the ball up the court, I mean, that it is what it is. Like, now you put two strong guards on the court that are over 6'3", 6'4", and you just go power guard. I mean, there's so many different. I mean, and then you got the Twin Towers, you got the power guards, and then you got Jaden McDaniels. You can go 3 guards with D'Angelo Russell, Wendell Moore, and I mean, it's just so much you can do with this team. Old AAU style, go 3-2 defense, put 2 bigs down, put 3 at the top. I mean, you can have some real fun. But I'm going to go Timberwolves as the second team in the state right now.
Yeah, I think you guys got a fair argument. Again, Twins got the rich history. They've been around the longest, but you're right, Ron. In a what have you done for me lately era, Sam also mentioned it, the stock arrow is pointing way up. By far the most excitement right now out of all 3 teams is around the Timberwolves. If you had 10 people lined up and you had a ticket to the Twins game, the Wild game, or the T-Wolves game, I think most people would want to go to that T-Wolves game. I think you're right.